Thursday morning for myself, and I'm hoping that we can entice you and educate you about relative topics so that you can have a better quality of life, and that's what it's about. But we also want to create those support structures and bring to the fore people that have been doing things that have been making differences towards others, and for us to find our purpose, I think, is absolutely important. So one of them I'm going to be speaking to this morning is, of course, Danie Loggerenberg. And over a year ago, we interviewed him, the dad who started the Child Protection Hotline to help victims of domestic abuse. Back then, the hotline had only 22 contacts across South Africa's provinces, and Van Loggerenberg was answering many of the calls, of course, himself. Now he's proud to boast that there are 36 reporting facilities and each has a unique number. And we're going to be checking in with him this morning, and he's going to be telling us a lot more about this. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for taking the time out to join us on the show this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm at a school, so if it's noisy, I apologize, but thank you for the opportunity.
Always enticing. I think you're in the right spot since we're talking about child protection. So I think we found the right environment there. Talk to us a little bit about yourself, your experiences, and what made you actually decide to start the hotline? Because, we just got over the situation with the Motti brothers.
Well, I think the most important thing is I'm a father, and as a father, you realize that you've got these children that you love and that you care for, and all of a sudden they are let loose in this world. And when they're let loose in this world, some of the worries that you do have when they go to school, when they interact with the outside world, are they safe? If they're not safe, what do I do to keep them safe? And one of the worries I had was that it didn't seem that it was so easy just to keep them safe, because it's a whole collective of people working together, people standing together, and all working towards the same common goal. So that's how it started. It's just being a father, being a dad, and wanting to keep my very own children safe. And then at the same passion I've got for keeping my own children safe, looking at that same way at all the other children out there.
I think that's imperative because, in the type of environment we're in today's day and age, I think the situation of safety of children, and I think you'd agree with me, has gone 100-fold worse. Where when a parent sends their child out even to school, or even if they're just playing in the front yard, that element of, should we say, fear is always there in the back of the mind.
Well, 100%. You spoke about the four brothers that would just, got back with their parents. If that happens to you and it happens to your child, what do you do first? Where does it start? And it is. COVID has highlighted the problems our kids face, because our children are in a dangerous space. When I was at school, I didn't own a cell phone. Social media.
Danie, we seem to have lost Danie there for a second, but just to bring you into the spot about Danie and what he's doing, let's see if we can get him back. He also shares diversity, which he says is important. It's not just about looking after a particular aspect of children, but looking at the diversity of the types of people he works with. That's where the hotlines were created. Danie, you're back on the line. We seem to have had a bad signal from you on that side.
I'm so sorry. I see the receptionist coming and going. I'm assuming load shedding somewhere started, and then
the sound seems to be quite bad. We seem to be breaking up there. Could we possibly try that again? I didn't get you there.
I'm just trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, the sound seems quite bad. The signal is rather bad. But I'm just going to let our viewers know, while you're trying to find a good signal, that you've been, of course, accepted call centers throughout, which is going to actually help deal with some of the terrible situations. And there's a list of child protection hotlines where you can report abuse across provinces, which I think is absolutely imperative and important, because that's what it's about. Are you back there? There we go. That's much better.
I think I'm back.
Get a better sound out of you. We were just like I was saying, it's important to create those network structures. especially with something as pertinent and as important as the protection of our very own children. I mean, every single day that they go out, parents are faced with many issues, including kidnapping, which I think is horrendous. It's really scary.
Well, I think the most important thing is when your kids are out there are certain things that face them that never faced us. And I
Mm,
think that's what makes it difficult, because it's difficult for me to think of when I was a child, because what's happening today is a totally different world. The pandemic is
exactly.
new, social media is new, online activity is new. I mean, my parents never had to worry about a pedophile searching for me on the internet.
Mm.
Unfortunately, we have that worry today. I didn't have a cell phone as a child. I only got one when I turned 18. And it was still an old big cell phone that could SMS.
Yeah, so relate to
Today,
that.
uh, and now you've got kids that are 10, 11 years old that are actually online schooled. So
Yes.
they've got all these people that have access to them without ever being told, listen, be careful.
Mm.
So it's a completely different world. When I was a child, you could, and you felt lost, you could go to any grown up and say, listen,
Right.
I'm lost, please help me. You
Yes.
can't teach your
And
kids
I
that
think
today.
the element today is, I think the scary part about everything is you don't know who to trust in an environment outside your very own home and outside your very own family structure. And as you say, there's many different elements which when we were younger and the generation before us never had that kind of factor to actually be concerned about. Unfortunately, right now, there's many different factors that we're facing. So let's talk about the Child Protection Hotline and what it does for families and people and how it actually helps them get over the necessary negativity. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so one of the things we realized is that, let's say where you sit now in your studio, if you look
Mm,
outside your window, it seems like a window next to you, and you see a child being beaten, who do you call first?
mm,
And that question stuck in my mind. And that question got me to the point to say, but that shouldn't be a question. It should be as
mm,
easy as this is the number I phone, and this is the number I can WhatsApp or SMS. Why WhatsApp and SMS as well? Because kids don't phone strangers. Kids don't
mm.
do that. I've got kids, they're not going to phone a stranger, say, hey, you know what, stranger, please help me. So that's why we started the Child Protection Hotline. And we've said, okay, this to us is a way a person, a father, a child, a mother, a daughter would be able to search for assistance and search for help. So that is the reason we started the child protection hotlines. And the reasons we've got them in every area is what we've realized is an abused child, in most instances, are abused by somebody they know.
Mm.
That means they're not going to ask for help from somebody that they know, but they're even less likely to ask for assistance from a stranger by a phone call, but they might be able to WhatsApp and inquire and say, "Hey, are you able to help me?" So
I
that
think,
was the idea
yeah,
behind
I
it.
think that's the scary part because, as you were saying, I mean, in the cases of abuse, inevitably it comes from within the home. And I think that's a very scary situation, and it's also very concerning. So, what sort of tips would you give young people to say that when you're in the environment of being abused by a family member, maybe in many, I mean, and as we know, abuse comes in different forms. How do they reach out to you? How would they come? Because a lot of the times, I think there's that element of fear that if I reach out, I'm going to be in bigger trouble than what I was before.
Well, and you're 100% correct again, is because that's what the abuser teaches you. Your abuser tells you, firstly, this is our secret, and secondly, if anybody finds out you're in deep, deep trouble, I'm going to hurt you. So the best I can recommend to any child is to get hold of the numbers, WhatsApp or SMS the number, make the contact that is necessary, and then take it from there. So get the number, WhatsApp the number, SMS the number, and you won't be in trouble. We will help you. We
Mm.
will help you because we are able to help you. And we are able to get the assistance to you that is needed.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, when you visit the schools, of course, creating the awareness of the hotline, I think, is imperative. It's phenomenal for one reason because kids outside their home environment, it's easier for them to relate to the situation to say, here's a support structure, here's a helpline for me, and they can have it without having to go look for it within their own environment where they could put themselves in bigger danger than what they were before, as I said. So I think that's phenomenal because you're going to the schools, educating them. And I think also, I would like to ask the question, is it being put as part of the curriculum to say, this is a piece of education that we'd like to bring to the fore to all you kids to know that irrespective of the situations you may be in, whether it's abuse, kidnapping like we had earlier, those kind of elements, this is how you would deal with it. So it's kind of basically preparing them, although we're not saying that in every household there's that type of situation, but we know at some point in your life you kind of face some form of abuse, right? So it's having to educate them on how to actually deal with it and what sort of tips to use to be able to go forward using the type of, should we say, helpline that you have.
Okay, so like I said, I'm at a school today. So what we do when we visit schools is we find out what the problem in the school is, because you would find that your school A would have a problem with bullies, school B will have a problem with. We had a school the other phoned me that said most of their seniors are involved and engaged into child pornography. Then we've got schools that have a lot of kids that are being abused at home. So every school has a different problem. So there won't ever be a one size fits all. Secondly, most schools do have some.
Can we just hold on to that second point? We're going to go for a quick ad break and then we'll come back and join you and then go further with this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban, head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, rolls, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Famine, conflict, and severe economic decline make the humanitarian crisis in Yemen the worst in the world. More than 20 million Yemenis do not know where their next meal is coming from, and over 10 million are suffering extreme levels of hunger. With your support, the Al Imdad Foundation delivers essential food aid to starving Yemeni communities. It's a question of survival. So let's do what's right. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain developing company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Welcome back, and we're in conversation with Danie Loggerenberg from the Child Protection Hotline. Welcome back, and as we were speaking before we went on to the break, we were talking about tips and, of course, support structures and what people can look out for, and I had to interrupt you before you got to your second point, so let's get back to that.
Okay, so I've got myself a quieter spot as well, so it should go better now as well. Okay, so as we said before the break, a one size fits all is not going to work, because we've got different kids. We've got kids that are growing up in a house with 8 or 9 bedrooms, and we've got kids that are growing up within a shack. So their circumstances aren't the same. What's happening at the schools aren't the same. The way their parents view things aren't the same. Many are different. So most schools have some kind of a bullying, uh, a subject that covers bullying and all of that, but it's not the same. So in agreement with you, yes, the school should do more. The school should have somebody from the outside that comes, that specializes in these conversations, somebody that can speak to the kids on their level. Because if you can't just have a grown up come speak to children about children issues. You need somebody that can speak to the kids on a level that they understand. Because what our kids are facing today, and I've touched on that already, is our kids are facing a world we never knew.
Sure.
It's a different world. It's a different everything, and I think that's very, very important. So yes, the school should do more. I'm disappointed in many a school that says, "Oh no, we don't really have things happening. We okay." You're not okay. It's definitely not okay. If it was okay, we won't see the suicide rates that we are currently seeing with children. We are seeing suicide rates that are unheard of. We are seeing kids that are hurting themselves. I always use this example. I had an information hub a while ago, and a young boy came to me and he said to me, "Sir, I'm being bullied." And his mom came over, and I said to his mom, "Ma'am, your child's being bullied." I wanted to give her the steps how to get him help. And she then blatantly refused. She just said he's not getting bullied. He then told her he's being bullied. She told him he's not being bullied. And it continued like that until the point where she said, "But he would tell me if he's getting bullied." And me and her son were looking at her, with this face of, "Really? He's been trying to tell you for the last 2 minutes that he's being bullied." And that's what we find with a lot of parents. Parents don't want to and don't have the time to really assist their kids. So instead of them looking at it and saying, "Okay, you know what, my child's being bullied, let's get my child help," they actually go into a point where they say, "My child's not being bullied," as if it is a negative mark on your parenthood that your child's being bullied. But most kids go through school being bullied. I don't know, or I know of a very few people who has done an entire school, a school 10, 11, 12 years and never ever been bullied.
Yeah, so I think it's about creating that awareness with parents to say that, you know what, there's support structures out there, and denying the fact and not hoping that you just, put it under the carpet and it's going to go away is never going to happen. I think what we need to do as parents on the whole is literally look at the types of situations. And I think communication is key. We need to make that effort and that time every single day in our lives to say, when our kids come home from school, let's sit down with them for a few minutes and gauge their type of mental wellness, because obviously we know it does affect that. And that has become a very big thing, because I was reading an article the other day that said we're talking about adults and their mental wellness during this COVID-19 period and the types of things that we are subjected to. But what about the children? They're getting forgotten in the entire process, and they are our future. And at the end of the day, if they're in that particular frame of mind, how do you expect them to learn? How do you expect them to move forward in life? How do you expect them to have that focused mind to be able to do the necessary and know what's right and what's wrong? Because obviously whatever we do as parents is regarded as the norm by our kids.
Well, I couldn't have said it better. So I did an interview yesterday, and the interview is only coming out next week, and you've kind of said everything I said. Well done. And you are 100%, but you're 100% correct. It's actually so easy as that. Communication is key. You need to communicate with your kids. You need to know your kids well enough to see when your child is acting differently than normal. You need to understand that my child that loves going to school now all of a sudden tells me, "I don't want to go to school." Something is happening at school. It's very easy and it's very clear. So communication is key. COVID has completely forgotten about the kids. So as you clearly said, so COVID has come and nobody has actually thought about the kids. You've got kids that only had one out, and that was going to a school, getting food at school, going back home. That's been taken from them. So they're not at school, then they're at school. They haven't seen their teacher's mouth in nearly 20 months. because we're all wearing masks, and I'm not saying we shouldn't wear masks. I'm all understanding of the pandemic. But we need to understand that kids are not grown-ups. We understand when the president says to us 3 weeks and it takes longer than 3 weeks. We understand that. But the kids don't. They see it as the president lied to us. They do not trust anymore. I've got children. The first thing they say when there's any mention of a lockdown or sport being stopped at school again is they're going to lie. So if they tell us it's 2 weeks, it's going to be 4 weeks. We have the same with load shedding. It starts with no load shedding, then it's stage 2, 3 hours to stage 4, then it's stage 3. You have no idea. So we teach the people that a child should be educated, and you should tell them this is happening tomorrow, this is happening on Saturday, this is happening on Sunday. We're not in a position to do that anymore. So we are now in a position where the damage being done to our kids now, we're only going to see in the next 5, 6, 7 years.
That's a scary thought. But touching on a very important point, it's nice to know that the hotline goes one further, where, of course, the proper authorities are brought into the type of situation, and at least 70 police stations and officers get involved in helping you out with the necessary that you come across, which I think is phenomenal, because you're not just stopping at that. It's taking it to the necessary authorities to be able to help solve the situation and bring a better quality of life to those children.
Well, 100%. I'm going to give you a situation that happened yesterday. So the principal phoned me. They caught one of the teachers at the school, I'm not going to mention the school. He was busy grooming and selling exam papers to boys if they act with certain impulses of him. They then reported him to the principal. The principal then is obliged by law to report it. She did report it to her closest police station. Her closest police station, unfortunately for her, had a constable that's not trained and uneducated, and he said there's no case to be opened because it's only grooming. Nothing actually took place, which is wrong. And luckily for her, she Googled, she came across our number. I phoned the exact same police station, but because I work with them and I've got a very good relationship with them, we were able to get a police officer at the school this morning. The principal phoned me a short while ago to say that the officer was there and action will be taken. So what we've decided is, instead of now sharing information with the general public and they needing to work this out for themselves, we will take that communication on ourselves. So the police station is not going to tell me they can't act on that, because that's wrong. They're wrong. I can then explain to them what they're doing wrong, and if the person I'm talking to doesn't understand, then I can speak to his station commander, because I've got a working relationship with them, and then get them to do their job. And I think that's the most important thing, is caring for children is actually so easy, because there's an amazing Children's Act that is worldwide known as one of the best children's acts available, that caters for pretty much everything. But if the system is letting you down, the system is letting you down. So we're not allowing the system to let us down, because there's enough people that actually want to help. We've got community radio stations that are doing their utmost to share this information. So we all, I think, to use the Afrikaans word, a big hut full of people hurting our kids.
Yes.
So we want to help our children. And while we're all there, we're going to get it right. And I think that's the most important thing.
That's so true. It's about creating that better quality of life and not putting them in situations that, should we say, are negative in any way whatsoever.
Yes.
So we try and avoid that as much as possible. What would you like to leave us with this morning?
I think what you said earlier is the key. Communicate with your kids. Listen to them. Hear what they've got to say. And if they tell you something is wrong, something is wrong. I've got a lot of parents that tell me, I never knew my father would do that to our daughter. Listen, your daughter told you that beforehand. Children are not just made up to lie. Yes, some of them do, but listen to them. They don't just make, so communication is crucial. And I mean, that's the same even for us. If something is wrong in any situation or relationship, communicate. Same, communicate with your kids. Make the time to chat. You said it earlier as well. I said the same yesterday. Create that routine of, after school, we get together and we talk about our day, even if it's 5 minutes. But that creates an opportunity for the child to know if something is wrong, he can speak to his parents. There are too many children that say, my parents won't listen, and I've seen it myself, parents don't want to listen. So you as a parent need to stop what you think, because we want to think for our kids, but our kids will never think like us. They see the world differently, they interact differently. Somebody once said to me, it was very clever, I said, yo, my little one is so naughty, it was a few years ago. They said, okay, if you want to see the world out of their eyes, go onto your knees and see how different things look. And then you realize by doing that, all of a sudden you don't see a TV, you see a file cabinet with DVDs because it's in your eyesight. And all of a sudden you want to play with them and you want to move them because you just see things. And that was such a practical example of how easy it is just to change your mindset.
Yeah, I agree with you. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think we had a very insightful conversation. And I'm hoping that parents that tap into this and children that are in those types of situations get the necessary help through the education. And I think it's imperative that maybe an idea, you go into the schools and start creating a piece of this as a curriculum for people to be able to move into a better space and a better place. But thank you so much. Wishing you all the best going forward. And I hope that idea comes to fruition in some way.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity.
It was only a pleasure. You take care and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was Danie Loggerenberg giving us, of course, the lowdown and I think the very seriousness about child protection. And as we know, with the Motti brothers just being back, and we're so glad that they are, from being kidnapped, he's given us some very serious, pertinent information that can help us have a better quality of life for our children. And that's what it's about. We're going to go for a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in a sec.